Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Chip Bennis, owner of BioGreen in North Florida. I apologize for looking at my notes, but I have got the founder of BioGreen of America with us this evening, and I want to make sure that I get this all in about 10 minutes. So Larry, as I said, is the founder of BioGreen of America. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to discuss what we do at BioGreen and why you need to be interested in it as an owner or operator of a child care facility. We're going to spend about 10 minutes, like I say. So we're going to touch on a few things, some of the most common disinfecting practices that you may be employing right now. We're going to discuss the effectiveness compared to what we provide and have that discussion. So with that, Larry, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Chip. Always good to be with you.
Nice to see you again. Larry, if let's just get started off. You just give us a quick minute here on the history of BioGreen, how we got started and what it is exactly that we do.
Sure. Founded BioGreen in 2008, so well over a decade ago. And essentially, we created initially we called it a proactive disinfection concept. And we were the first ones in the United States to do that. And essentially what it was, or still is, we go into any facility, day, childcare, you name the type of industry, we've basically treated in every industry in the United States. And we disinfect. And we disinfect using stabilized chlorine dioxide, which is extremely friendly, 100% green attributes, no harm to plants, animals, people, and the environment, or the environment. And when we walk out of a facility, 99.9% of a wide swath of bacteria, virus, mold, and odor is gone. It is eliminated.
That's awesome. And again, like you said, over a decade, so well before COVID. But I got to say, as an owner or operator of a child care facility, an early learning facility, right now, of course, top of mind is COVID-19, and the process that we use also deactivates that virus. Is that correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's definitely correct. But again, like you said, we about every 3 or 4 years, a pandemic, this one being much more virulent than anything we've ever experienced. But when every pandemic comes along, our business picks up. The interesting thing is, in between pandemics, we still do what we've always done. And one thing that I just want to point out to this audience is that a virus, COVID or otherwise, needs a host. They need a warm body to survive in. They don't do well for long periods of time on surfaces. They live on surfaces, but it's not a long period of time. Bacteria does not need a host. A bacteria will hang around on a surface. And that's why we began this company, was really to attack bacteria that you just don't touch in your normal course of cleaning.
Gotcha. And of course, in this audience of child care, there's a lot of little hosts, and depending on the facility, some that I visited have got as few as 10 or 12 young people, up to 20, 30 and above. So and I in my visits to various child care facilities, I've noticed 2 or 3 ways that I see them disinfecting, and I want you to speak to them, speak about the effectiveness. I see a lot of Lysol. That's the first. It's got to be probably the most, or a similar type product. Lysol, and then a lot of bleach, either full strength or mixed with some type of mixture with water. And then the third that I've noticed that folks are doing, that seems to be pretty much common, has to do with alcohol. And I'm not talking about consuming alcohol as in drinks. There's a mixture of alcohol. I don't know, is it with water? 70%, I think is the number, 60 or 70% alcohol. And the good thing is, in this type of business, these people are not new to disinfecting and how important that is. It's just in the way and the manner, and I think we can either replace what they're doing or enhance what they're doing. So can you talk to the three I mentioned, the the Lysol, the bleach, and the alcohol?
Well, bleach and alcohol, you have to cut them down quite a bit before you can use them. And they can be very effective killers of certain types of bacteria, virus. The problem with those two products is that you may not be able to find two more unfriendly to humans and the environment. They're just horrible for both. They're also horrible or very destructive over time to surfaces, which may be a minor concern, but I had a hospital when we first began this business that we were quoting, and they had just finished, unfortunately, having their entire hospital disinfected with a bleach compound. And what that did to the equipment, to the beds, et cetera, was they had to replace tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. But Lysol is a good product. Lysol works. I remember one of the first daycare units or child care units that we started working with. I asked the young woman who ran the facility, how much Lysol do you go through? And the answer astounded me. I was taken aback. She said that we go through, about a case every couple of days, because that's our main means of disinfection. So the good thing about Lysol is that it works. The bad thing is that you have to use so much, and you just can't simply do it on an industrial scale. You simply can't reach parts that our equipment and people reach. The other thing about Lysol is there's really not a residual effect, or it's very short, whereas what we put down on a surface has a residual effect of up to 4 weeks. So in a child care center or in any facility, somebody, we come in and treat. The next day, someone comes in and coughs, or during flu season, and bacteria is going to be reintroduced the next day. The question is, at what rate does that bacteria grow? And so with our service, that is stunted. We've had several third-party studies that prove the efficacy of that. So typically what we do is on a 4-week rotation, we come in, and when we leave, that facility is completely disinfected. And then we go back and do it every 4 weeks.
Well, that's good to know. And back to what we use to disinfect, the chemical, if you will, that we use, and it is hospital grade disinfectant, eco-friendly.
Yes.
And it's rated to be able to, because these child care facilities all have food prep areas. And I know from speaking with you before that it's approved for use in those type of areas. But I would think, and based on some of my experience, if we're using Lysol to disinfect some of the toys and the tables and chairs and things like that, they might be killing the bacteria. But I'm not sure I would want a little tyke putting a toy in their mouth.
You don't. No, that's a great point. You don't, and we don't have that issue.
Right.
So yeah, that's a great point. Again, there are a lot of disinfectants on the market. There are hundreds of them. There's only one or two, actually there are two, that have 100% green attributes, that if you were to put it on a surface and touch that surface or put that toy in your mouth or what have you, there is no negative residual effect. So those are rare, and there's only two that I know of in existence that are approved for use in and around food prep areas. That's a very, very rare designation for a disinfectant. By the way, the active ingredient in what we use is stabilized chlorine dioxide, which has been used to clean water for more decades than I can count. It's an incredibly safe but effective ingredient.
Well, that's good to know, and I think it's very important that people realize, like I said, any kids putting anything in their mouth in the food prep areas, we're not going to hurt anybody with that. So let me ask you this, Larry, as an operator, what we're talking about, there's a cost to it. So would it be fair to say, in your opinion, that for just pennies per square foot, a treatment from BioGreen is the most efficient and cost-effective way to disinfect?
No, it has been for 13 years and will remain that way. Yeah, you're talking about pennies per square foot. The other thing I want to just touch on is that I always talk about the two sides of the company. And the one is the health and safety benefit. If you disinfect efficiently, that's going to have great positive ramifications for everybody who works there and their families and the staff as well. The other side of the coin is there's a marketing element to this. When you do this and your facility is considered BioGreen Clean, that's something that you can tell the mothers and fathers, the families of all of those kids that come into your daycare. That's something that you can talk to your employees about. I remember, again, going back many, many years, one of the first childcare facilities that we did, we provided them with the language for little promotional cards that they could give out to everybody. And there was about, this was rather large, maybe 30 or 40 families. And they created these little promotional cards, again, that we gave them all the marketing materials to do that. And I went the day that they handed them out to the parents because I wanted to see the reaction from the parent. Because in my mind, if you're doing something to keep my child safe, something that is over and above a normal cleaning protocol, something that you don't have to do, that you're not required to do, and yet you're doing it, that says a lot about that facility. So I actually watched this young lady hand these little cards, kind of long, slender cards out that explained, here's what we've decided to do to make our facility safer. And I actually watched people taking those in their hands, reading them, and getting very emotional. I saw people hug this woman. Thank you so much for doing this. We didn't know that this service existed. So it created just an enormous amount of goodwill. And it creates a differentiation point between that child care center and the one down the street, perhaps. And there are three things statistically that drive that, where do you send your kid? And those are not necessarily in this order, but location. I love Johnny, but I don't want to drive 20 miles every morning. Cost, I love Susie, but I don't want to pay $800 a week. And the third one that everyone cites in every study is cleanliness and safety, health safety. And so you can't disinfect a facility more effectively than BioGreen does. That is the most effective, most efficient, and cost-effective way to disinfect a facility on a regularly scheduled basis.
Well, that's great. And to your point, I've had that conversation with a couple of operators, and they've also decided in a couple of situations to work with us, and we pass along some pricing for the families of the children to do their homes. And so it's kind of a double whammy. If we're taking care of it at the facility, and you can get the parents to take care of it, in their homes, because let's face it, depending on how they're set up, somebody's paying for daycare that they're not, or I'm sorry, childcare that they're not receiving when somebody has to stay home because they're sick. And it's been explained to me also that, hey, the parents, if they have a sick child, what do they have to do? They might have to miss work or, you know, scramble for a babysitter. So it's in everybody's best interest to stay healthy, and a treatment from BioGreen does just that. And it enhances the cleaning protocol. We're not a cleaning company, but we clean, we kill and we clean the things that you can't see. And it's just the goodwill, like you said, is priceless, as well as the peace of mind for everybody involved. So that's great. Any last words? I really appreciate your time, Larry. And
one last thing. During COVID, there have been a lot of companies that pop up as disinfection companies. And what I want people to be aware of is two things. A lot of these companies are using chemicals that are really harmful, but they're cheaper for them to use, but they're really harmful. The other thing is that you're seeing a lot of price gouging. I mean, if you're paying more than a few pennies a square foot, you're simply overpaying. But I'm seeing these two practices going on a lot during COVID, unfortunately. The other thing is you should always ask for the material safety data sheet to see what what the chemical compound is that they're using and what the attributes are and what they're approved by the EPA. We make no claims at all that aren't approved by the EPA for the particular hospital grade disinfectant that we use. So I want to caution people during this age of COVID. And again, we've been around for over a decade prior to COVID. Just be careful what you're doing. Make sure that you're dealing with someone that's using a chemical with 100% green attributes and that you're not getting gouged.
that's great advice. And it's a shame that people will do that, but they are. And, you know, we want to be around to help these people when we get through this COVID. And so we're not just, you know, like I said, we're not just a COVID company. We've been doing it for over a decade, and people are gonna need us long after we get through this. So with that, Larry, thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, reach out. My phone number, you can call or text 352-792-5831, 352-792-5831. Let's get your questions answered if you have any, and get you scheduled, get you an estimate. And it's back to school season right now. So Larry, this is very timely, and I appreciate it.
My pleasure. It's always good being with you.
Okay, remember now, it's not clean until it's BioGreen Clean. Thank you.
There you go. Take care.